Hi, I'm Libby Gibson, Town Manager. Welcome to What's Going On in Town Government. We had a fairly lengthy board meeting last night. Let's see here. We had a moment of silence for President Bush. That was nice, actually.
It's not, yeah.
You know what I thought was not so great, though? That the post office was closed for the day of mourning.
Yeah.
Would he have liked that? No, I don't think so.
Is that, they closed it just for
Yes, yeah.
Maybe they wanted a day off.
Well, I wanted a day off. I tried to turn it into my own.
Yeah, right.
Didn't work out.
The post office was closed. That's amazing.
Anyway, it was a nice little moment of silence. We introduced our new Deputy DPW Director for Facilities. We have two Deputy DPW Directors, one for Facilities, one for Operations, because we have so many things going on. People need to be in charge of certain sections of the main sections of Public Works. So,
What does that mean, though, facility?
well, we don't have a full-on facilities department for the town-owned buildings and properties. Many towns our size have that. Ours is sort of cobbled together.
So we're talking.
So
like,
now we have this is basically our Director of Facilities. We also have a Facilities Coordinator who, does the day-to-day. This person is going to do planning and overall maintenance plans and long-term facility planning, things like this. Not just buildings, but other town-owned properties.
Well, what's the DPW guy supposed to do? What's his job?
Who, the director?
Yeah.
Well, there's more than just buildings that Public Works
Well,
covers.
people are going to say,
Yeah, there's
did
roads,
you create another job for more people to get paid on the payroll? They're going to say that. They're thinking that. So what do you say?
You say that we cover a massive amount of things with Public Works, and people need to be in charge of planning.
We have a lot of things.
We have a lot of things.
Like, for instance, does he cover the nursing home?
No, the nursing home has its own maintenance, and the school has its own maintenance.
Okay.
The remainder of we have many remote town buildings. We don't obviously have all the town offices in one building. There's this building, 16 Broad, there's 37 Washington, there's the Marine Department building, there's the 2 Fairgrounds building, the 4 Fairgrounds building, the Public Works building, the Natural Resources building, the other buildings in this block of 16 Broad and Chestnut and South Water. I could go on even more, but I'll stop there. So that's just buildings. They all need maintenance plans. They all need ongoing maintenance. We have landscaping contracts. That's just facilities. Never mind operations with roads and stormwater and the different sorts of construction projects that Public Works does. Mostly road-ish related.
Okay.
Anyway. This person's name is Chaz Rogers, and you will start seeing him about town. And he's going to go on your show next week.
Yes, he is. He's going to be on Front Up this Wednesday.
We had some gift acceptances. There was one for the Marine Department, but there was also a couple for Fire Department and Human Services. The hospital, as part of its capital project, is required to put aside some money for community health initiatives. And there was an established process through which different groups, including the town, mostly nonprofits, seek to get some of these funds for community health initiatives. So the town got an amount of money, I think it's about $75,000, to set up it's called the Network of Care website. And it's meant to be a website that pulls together all human services organizations on the island. This is an effort that's started and stopped a few times, and hopefully this takes and becomes a website, central website.
The money is going to that?
So the money is going to that. We also had money, $98,000 or so, for paramedic training for the fire department. We are we are transitioning from what's called basic life support emergency medical services to advanced life support. Most cities and towns have advanced life support. Right now, we just have basic. So this means you have to train all your EMTs to actually be paramedics. It's a higher level. So we got some money out of this program for the training. And we are starting the process now with the first group is being trained now. Okay, so we accepted.
Does that mean we're hiring more too?
Well, we have already hired more, but and that's not even necessarily in connection with the ALS program. That's in connection with, we have too many calls and not enough people. So, anyway. I know people hate it when we talk about more employees, but
I know.
it's a struggle. It's really, really a struggle to get things done with the staff that we have. It's just not enough. And it's really hard to find people and house them, obviously. We're not the only ones who face this problem. Okay, in other news, our auditor was there, and he reviewed the fiscal 18 audit for the town, and he was he had a really good presentation now, and obviously I'm very happy because we had a very good audit. We still have some things that we need to work on. We always are going to have things that we need to work on, but he gave a good report. The Island Home Administrator gave an update about what's called the 5-star quality rating system, which is used to rank or rate nursing homes, Island Home being one of them. And our ratings aren't super high, but he was explaining why. And there's a number of reasons why. One of them is just the facility itself isn't of the, how can I phrase this? It's not of the quality that you'd get a high rating because it's old.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's from 1980, Gino.
But because it's old, it doesn't get a high
Well,
rating?
it doesn't have the types of infrastructure that you would build today in a nursing home. It's
Well, okay.
it just doesn't.
Well, with what we have, could he improve on what we have?
Somewhat, but not entirely, which is why we were trying to build a new one in a different site. We know that didn't pass. So now what we are doing is we have a nursing home financial firm helping us look at what it would take to construct a new or renovated facility at the current site. What will that cost construction-wise, logistically, and operationally going forward? So we're kind of in the midst of that right now. Anyway, the Island Home Administrator reviewed not that so much as the rating system and what we are doing to increase our ratings. The DPW Director gave an overview on the landfill environmental monitoring program, and that's been a topic of some conversation and concern over the past 12 to 18 months, I would say. So that was pretty informative, I would say.
That was.
It's a bit dry, I have to admit, but.
While I was listening, we've got like an area that's lined and then we have an area that's unlined.
At the landfill itself,
Right,
yes.
the old area is unlined.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to try to line that with all that, with what's
Well,
on top.
you'd have to move it.
They used to mine it, did that
Well,
stop?
mining is somewhat still occurring. We are in discussions right now with Waste Options as to how to get it to a more robust activity.
You mean?
This is way more complicated than we should get into right now, but our mining permit with the Department of Environmental Protection expires in June of 2019. So we either need to renew it or begin the process to close the landfill cells. It doesn't mean we close the landfill, but we need to decide if we're going to somehow continue mining or if we are going to just end the mining program and begin to cap and close the cells. Now, that doesn't mean we don't use the landfill anymore. You'd still use the lined cells, but there's a kind of an ongoing debate or unsolved issue of would it be a good idea to mine the whole thing out so we can reclaim the land, which would mean getting rid of, eventually, way down the road, all of the lined cells, but it's a tremendous cost. So it's something that we're looking into right now. We've got an internal work group that's doing a lot of research about technology that would, that could potentially process the waste, like a gasification technology, but that is not permittable right now in Massachusetts. So there's a lot to it. So rest assured, we are pretty deeply involved in looking into it. Information gathering for right now. What would it mean to stop mining? What would it mean to keep mining? All this kind of thing.
It's going to continue to be.
It's an issue.
The future is.
It's an issue with a lot of towns, especially now because recyclables are an issue in terms of disposing of them.
I'll tell you what, I've got a place in Maine, and when we take our garbage to Maine, they take the garbage and bring it to Canada, all of it. So
Yeah.
when we look at what, I mean, there's an action and there's a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
We have to face it head on, in our face.
Yeah,
That's the difference between our community and others.
yes.
And
We have a-
that's why it's important that we do stay on top of it.
Yeah,
because
our
we-
challenge is how to get rid of it. You can't just throw it on the
No.
steamship
It's gotta go somewhere. All right,
properly somewhere.
of course.
not- Okay, so that's the whole ongoing issue. We're gonna be talking about that much more. The board finalized the marijuana RFQ. So, in a nutshell, for several months now, we've been talking about how to best determine what group is going to open the next retail/medical marijuana facility. Long story short, we basically have one license available for a co-located facility. So over the past few months, the board has come to the conclusion that, and with a town meeting vote, which restricts us to 2 retail licenses, you can have as many medicals as you want, but depending how many medicals as you want might trigger additional retails, and we have a bylaw now that says basically 2 retails. So the board has decided that we will have one more. We have one now that's essentially not technically licensed yet, but their location has been approved and they are well underway with the process to get a medical dispensary license and a retail. That's Green Lady on Amelia Drive. And there would be the opportunity for one more. So we've had 2 very active groups inquiring about it and expressing interest. So the board is saying, well, how are we going to pick the group? So we've come to the conclusion of issuing a request for qualifications, which basically says, okay, we are going to take applications for an additional group, one group. You will have a co-located facilities. Here's all the things that we want you to have. And then here's all the things that, depending on how well you put your proposal together, we will consider highly advantageous, or not advantageous. Rank them and then pick one. So
How many do we have to choose from?
Well, right now, we've had 2 express interests, but once it's out advertised, maybe there will be more. We don't know.
So 2 outside of Green Lady are interested in
Yep.
being the awarded. the
Yeah, so
license.
they'll submit their proposal. We will have a review committee review it, interview them, make a recommendation to the board, and the board will vote on it. This all is going to transpire within the next 2 months. And it's taken a lot of time. Okay, we also talked about the Surfside Crossing 40B last night. Now, as we were talking about it, another hearing was happening, the 5th hearing, I believe, with the Zoning Board of Appeals at the high school. So we didn't really know at the time what the conclusion was. It turns out that there's been an extension on the time frame within which the ZBA must make a decision to, at this point, February 15th. The board was talking last night about sending another letter to the ZBA about some concerns they have about the affordable housing restrictions that are being proposed for the 40B. So they're going to talk about it again next week with a draft letter that our housing specialist, Tucker Holland, is going to prepare for them, and we'll talk about it again in a week. We also talked about 2019 annual town meeting warrant articles. What I do is I kind of come up with this sort of, I call it my outline, of all the standard articles and then all the proposed articles categorized by real estate, bylaws, mass general law acceptances, home rule petitions, all the general categories of the warrant. And we talked about there's a number of articles that have come up as to whether or not the board wants to include them on the warrant. We also have 31 citizen petitions. So the one that generated the most discussion was, what should we do about the Old South Road corridor and Milestone Road corridor improvement projects? Should we resubmit them as is? Should we resubmit one? Should we scale it back and submit just one project, possibly the Milestone Road Rotary Improvement Project, which will be covered by some amount of state funding? Should we also look at another choke point like Fairgrounds and Old South? So there's a lot of discussion about it, no decision made at this time, but we're going to keep talking about it.
But I thought we already looked at it. We know we need them.
Well,
We're going
Gino,
back to discuss them again?
some people don't think we need them, I guess.
Okay, well, obviously because they didn't vote for it, but I thought it was because of the money. I thought it was money
There's no
rather than-
real telling what people think when they vote. It was a close vote, so to recap, at the annual town meeting of 2018, there was one big project proposed for both Old South Road corridor improvements, which is a series of things ranging from roundabouts at different intersections to road widenings to bike path installations and things of that nature, as well as milestone rotary improvements, milestone rotary improvements, and some improvements along Milestone Road. That was one big project for around $15 million. That passed at the town meeting, did not pass at the ballot. 2 votes are required, town meeting vote and the ballot vote. So, in preparing for the special town meeting that we had in October, the board said, let's split the projects apart and we'll do 2 projects, Old South Corridor and Milestone. Put those before the special town meeting, could not act on it because we did not have a quorum. But it was already on the ballot for November. Did not pass the ballot, and not by a lot. It was a very close vote, so that's another thing to take into consideration. It was a pretty close vote, so should we just put the whole thing back on as is to the annual town meeting and then the annual election, or should we split it up or make it smaller, or whatever. So we're going to have ongoing discussion about that.
Okay, it's still going to happen, okay.
Well, the discussion is still going to happen.
That's what I meant.
Yes, yes. Okay, we also, that was pretty much the meeting. Next week, the 12th, we've got Met on Main is changing business owners.
What?
Yes.
Not again?
Yes, the Sandbar Group is coming in to get new licenses there.
Who's
Liquor,
that?
entertainment, that runs the Sandbar at Jetties,
Oh, yeah.
the concession.
Oh, yeah.
So they're gonna take it up. We're gonna have that Surfside Crossing letter again. We're gonna talk about reducing or eliminating hazardous waste fees for the hazardous waste collection days. We had a citizen come in a few weeks ago, maybe more like a few months ago, to talk about hazardous waste, and there was a kind of a thought that the town should just accept it anytime. And the problem with that is first of all, you need a permit from DEP to accept it anytime, and you need a special building basically to house it in, and you need to monitor. You can't just have everybody bring in all their hazardous waste and pile it up in a garage. It's way more than that. But we've talked about maybe we eliminate the fees so that we'll encourage people to bring it more on the hazardous waste collection days. And maybe we will add some days here and there throughout the year.
That's a good idea.
So
you know how I feel about it.
I do. Yes, I do. So we're talking about that. In other news, we have Fill a Truck on Saturday at Stop and Shop. This is some town trucks are going to be in the Stop and Shop parking lot from 1 to 3. And the idea is that when you go to Stop and Shop, you get a few extra food items and you fill the truck, and then it all gets taken to the food pantry later.
Okay.
It's a nice idea.
Nice.
They've done it a few times before. It's been good turnouts so far. WPI, Worcester Polytech Institute, their students have been doing projects with us for many years now, probably almost 10 years. This started with Whitey Willauer when he was on the board. And basically what happens is, these are undergrad students, but they come in and we give them a project that we want them to look at. And they have parameters in their own program that they have to meet. So it's sort of evolved into a series of town projects, but also local nonprofits have projects as well. So this year we have, I think, 3 projects: a parking project, a waste stream analysis project, and a build-out analysis. So they're giving their final presentations next Tuesday, the 11th, from 12 to 4 at the Public Safety Building. You don't have to sit there, if you want to see them all, you do have to sit there from 12 to 4. But online, there's a schedule of what the projects are and when they're coming up, if people are interested.
Now the build-out, that's going to be interesting.
That's going to be very interesting, and the board talked a bit about that last night.
How do these kids get to stay here? I mean, how are they?
Okay, I am not the one who's the liaison to them, but I'm pretty sure that they are provided housing. WPI, I think, pays for it. Early on, it was, I think, free or very close to it, but now I think there's a payment. And I'm not sure, it was at Mariah Mitchell for a while. I'm not sure if it's still there or not. I hope I'm not saying the wrong thing. But Harvey Young gives them bikes to ride around on, and
Who houses them?
Well, for a while there, it was Mariah Mitchell in their dorm housing.
Okay.
but I don't know if they're still there. So a place is found for them, a dorm-like place,
Yeah.
and they're there.
That's a great idea.
So they're here from, I think around the beginning of October through right around next week, doing their projects.
I mean,
Yeah, so it's
I'm
interesting.
taking them out for other things, you know, taking them driving. I should probably do that with these guys too.
Well, yeah,
But I think
too
it's a
much
good
time.
idea for every town. I mean, wouldn't every town love to have
Yeah, it is.
young, I mean, what a
Yes,
perspective.
and I'm not complaining, but it's a bit of work because they have to have a liaison
Right.
person with them, and you have to kind of guide them through the process and have regular meetings with them. And but you end up with a product that you can at least use and refer to and keep as part of your information about a particular thing that they did. They do surveys, they collect data. It can be very, very helpful. So that is going on next week, and that's it.
That's all.
I mean,
a lot.
no, that's not all. That's all I'm going to talk about today, is what I mean. Because that's all we have time for, Gino. Otherwise, we're going to be here for the next 8 hours.
Kidding.
Maybe 9. Okay, so December Delight this weekend,
Ooh, yes.
right? You going?
You bet I am.
Okay. They always have a good baked table, baked goods
that's
table.
true.
They got a lot of stuff there. Pretty soon, when your kid gets to be a senior, you have to help out.
Ooh.
And also when your kid is in the Latin club, you have to help out.
Oh,
Okay, Latin club parents, correct, I haven't signed up yet because I saw an email that said they wanted the kids to do it. So I'm kind of waiting to see if kids have filled all the slots, and if they don't, then I'm going to see what I could do on Saturday.
Okay, good for you. Good mom.
I'm trying. God,
Yes.
it's so hard. I know everybody's so busy, but it's tough.
It is.
Okay,
That's it.
thanks very much. See you next time.